Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Search Report podcast. My name's Christian Sullivan, and I'm joined here today with my father and co-host, Rob.
Hi, everyone.
So, over our next few episodes, we want to just focus on sort of Internet Marketing 101 basic stuff, stuff that all business owners should be focusing on to build up their online presence. And it can be pretty intimidating when you're first getting going, and even after you're rolling, things just change so fast, so we want to try to provide just a basic guide. So today we're going to start with the very first thing, really, that any business owner needs, no matter what, and that's a website, right, Dad?
Yep, that's right. Obviously, if you want to do any online marketing, it's most effective if you have a website. I mean, you can do a certain amount of online stuff without a website. For example, you can get your Google Places registered for your business, so that gives you better exposure in Google. But really, unless you've got a website, you're not going to be as successful as somebody who does have a website. So the first step you're going to obviously have to do is find a domain name. And usually what I recommend for my clients is if you can get your company name, that's the best thing. So like if your name is Joe and you're a plumber, you look for joesplumbing.com or joetheplumber.com or something like that. If you can't find your business name because it's already taken, you could do something like a keyword and your location. So, for example, we live in Kelowna, British Columbia, so we could do Kelowna Plumber or Kelowna Plumbing, something like that. It doesn't have to. I actually get asked that question quite a bit. Does my domain name have to match my business name? And the answer to that is no. Your domain name can be anything you want. You could call it ilikepinkfairies.com and still be a plumbing site. It doesn't matter. But it's best, obviously, to have it something that's easily identifiable. So you start with something that's as close to your business as you can make it. And if not, get something that's related to what you do.
Right, if you can put one of your keywords in your domain, that's something that you'd want to try and do, right?
Exactly, yeah. So like say if you're a plumber or a heater or if it's a trade of any kind, try to use that trade name, use your location. Those are kind of the main things. If you're in Canada, it sometimes helps to have a .ca domain versus a .com, but a .com is generally accepted to be more widespread, so it gives you a little bit more presence online than just like having a .ca or .org or a .net.
So where can someone go then to get started and start buying their own domains?
Well, there's lots of domain registrars. I mean, GoDaddy is probably one of the biggest. You've probably seen the commercials during Super Bowl and that sort of thing.
Danica Patrick.
Yep, that's the one. It's most of them, or actually pretty much as far as I know, all of them offer free account registration. So you sign up with the email address, and even before you register, you can go onto most websites and do searches for domain names. Find the one that you like the best. What I usually recommend to my clients too, just to protect their brand, is say you find joesplumbing.com. I would also recommend, especially if you're in Canada, buy the CA version, buy the org, buy the net. Kind of cement your brand so that your buddy down the road, Frank's Plumbing, can't go buy joesplumbing.ca, and then it kind of hurts your business a little bit because he's not you, he's some other guy, and he's kind of poaching your domain name. So it's best to spend the extra money and buy those other domain names if you can get them.
Right, and so after somebody buys their domain, right, obviously you don't have your website set up right after that. You have to get it set up on hosting and stuff like that. I know GoDaddy has some of their own services. What's something you'd recommend for somebody just getting going?
Well, that's right. I mean, buying domain name doesn't mean you have a website. All it means is you've got the domain name. It's like buying a store. You buy the building, but there's nothing in it. You still have to do something with that space. So you need to, that's what Christian said, the first step is find hosting. Now, GoDaddy, again, is one that offers a complete solution. You can get your email through them, your web hosting. They've got website builders. But there's other web hosts out there too, like DreamHost is another good cheap example. I use a local hosting company here in Canada that I do resell hosting with them. So there's that option. It's just a matter of doing a search for hosting providers. There's even lots of websites that do hosting provider reviews. So if you don't know where to start, say for some reason somebody said, "Oh, don't use GoDaddy, they're terrible." Well, do some research and find out which other ones are, what are some good alternatives. You'll find lots of review sites out there, and then pick somebody from there. Remember, price isn't always the most important factor. I've signed up with 99-cent hosting before, and it was the biggest mistake of my life. Spend a little extra money. Sometimes it's worth it.
Right. And even then with setting up a website and stuff like that, like we were talking about earlier, there's these services like Weebly and Squarespace and Wix, and lots of the time they're not the best, but if you're willing to pay a little bit of extra money, you can even get your domain through them, and they provide all the hosting, and you can set up your website just off your browser.
Yeah, that's right. There's actually different ways you can go about it. I mean, for example, if you say you use a service like Wix, you buy your domain name, through somebody, you point it at the Wix servers, and the Wix has this really nice, cool drag and drop feature where you can drag and drop elements. Say you want to build a page with a contact form. You find the element on their website and you drag it onto the page and you position it where you want it, and there's your contact form. So that way, services like that are nice. You can do the same thing with Weebly and Squarespace, and even like sites like WordPress.com. You can have a self-hosted website there. So you don't. It's not like you have to go start from scratch and say, "Oh, I've got a domain name and now I've got hosting. Now what do I do?" There is actually third-party alternatives like Wix and Weebly and Squarespace and even GoDaddy, for example, or WordPress and DreamHost. A lot of these hosting companies offer kind of almost like pre-built websites for you. Just kind of turn them on in your account and change the colors, upload your logo, add the content you want, and away you go.
Right, yeah, and that's actually probably one of the best things about WordPress. It's like the best CMS out, really, and they also have their whole free service on the side.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a nice thing with installing a WordPress, whether you install it yourself or you go to their site. Like if you install WordPress yourself, let's say you want to do kind of the more manual way, so you go to GoDaddy and you buy your domain name and you get your hosting from them. Now, I'm not pitching GoDaddy for any reason. It's just I know that they offer, it's a full solution. I do use them myself for domains and hosting, so I know how they work, and they're very easy to use. But you can do this with just about anybody. You go buy your domain name, you buy your hosting through them, and a lot of times they have like a control panel area where you can click install of, say, WordPress or some other content management system. But when you install WordPress, like we're talking about, as soon as it's installed, you've got a website. It's already got a pre-designed template already there. It's basic. It's like gray and white and black typing. But you can go upload your logo if you want, and you can change the colors if you want. And then there's, thousands and thousands of free and paid templates you can add to your website to give it a little more customization.
Right, and even then with WordPress, it's something I still want to do in the future, put together a guide that people can actually follow, since I know you use WordPress for your own work. It's how you build all of your own websites and everything like that. So we trust it a lot. So I want to try to put something out there to teach people how to use it.
Well, WordPress is probably the most used system out there. I know there's lots of other content management systems that are widely used, and it kind of depends what you want to do, for your website. If it's just a fairly basic, hey, this is my business, this is what I do, WordPress is a really good option. If you're looking for something that's more enterprise ready, for example, something that, say, you're an internet or a national business that you want to go cross country and maybe you need some more security, or say you want to host an e-commerce website with thousands of products, you might want to go with something a little more robust. I mean, WordPress could probably still do it for you, but it does have its limitations like anything else. So again, it comes down to first identifying what your needs are and then finding the system that works best for you.
Yeah, one other content management system I see people talking about a lot is Drupal. Have you ever used that much at all?
Oh yeah, Drupal is one. It's a fork off of another content management system, but it's a little different in the way you manage the content. I don't like Drupal so much. It is more of an enterprise level thing. It does have a little more security than WordPress, but it's a lot harder, in my point of view, for a novice to manage. It's like with WordPress, for example. As you know, you type your page, you save it, you go to the navigation area, you add the link to the page on your navigation and save it, and it's done. With some of these bigger systems, you have to create your content, and then you got to create an area where to put it, and then you got to create a navigation block and add that navigation block to the main navigation. There's quite a few more steps involved a lot of times for adding the content, and it makes it a little trickier to do.
Okay, right. Yeah, I've never used Drupal at all before. I've only ever used WordPress, and it's super easy.
Yeah, it is. One thing I'd recommend if you do use WordPress or really any content management system, any website you build, is build it in what's called a responsive style. It's the style that Google recommends, and what that does is gives you one version of a website that's visible on any size of screen. So like right now, like I think I said in our last podcast, is mobile is becoming a really, really big area in search. So having a mobile version of your website is important. If you don't have one, you will not show up on a mobile search. For example, if somebody's searching for a business like yours on Google on their phone and you don't have a mobile website, you're not going to show up. So, but what Google recommends, instead of building like a separate mobile version and then have your desktop version, is build it in responsive style, which it's called responsive for a reason because it resizes itself to different screen sizes. So really, you only have one version of a website to build, not multiple versions.
Right. You know, I think one of my favorite things about WordPress is you can find a plugin to do almost anything.
Oh yeah, I'm always looking at new plugins and experimenting with different ones, and I mean you can get some really professional looking websites. Like actually, if you look at a lot of website designers' websites, they're all built in WordPress, so it tells you something about the system.
Right. So okay, let's say after somebody they go through they get their domain, right? Let's say they set up their website on WordPress or they set it up on some of these other services. Maybe just to focus on WordPress a little bit first, since we know it the most and it's where you do all of your work. Do you have any like basic SEO tips you could give somebody to do on their blog? What are maybe some SEO plugins you could recommend for WordPress? Just what's some advice you could give?
Well, sure. I mean, WordPress out of the box does not come search engine friendly necessarily. I mean, you can turn on what are called pretty permalinks, so you get nicer looking website URLs. But as far as like, for example, being able to optimize each individual page, you can't do that with WordPress. But there's lots of SEO plugins out there that will help you with that. One I like to use is called Yoast, YOSAT, like toast but with a Y. And it gives you the option to add meta tags for individual pages. We haven't talked really about meta tags or optimization too much, but we will, in later podcasts as far as what optimization is and how to do it. Another one I recommend is a Google Analytics plugin, mostly because Google Analytics is free and gives you some really good analytics data. I'm sure we'll talk about analytics also at a future podcast, but Google offers lots of free services, so I recommend taking advantage of all of them to help you position your website. They help you find errors in your website, show you where you can make improvements, show you what broken links you have, for example, all those sorts of things you can get through Google Tools. And there's plugins that kind of relate to those that you can install into WordPress and pretty much any site. Like, I don't often recommend Wix because it's not very search engine friendly, but you can optimize Wix, you can add Google Analytics to it as well, and do the same as you can with WordPress and pretty much any other system.
Right. Yeah, one thing I've always felt like, with websites, I mean, especially nowadays, web development and SEO, they go hand in hand.
They have to. I mean, and that's why I started building websites in the first place a few years ago, is because I came across a lot of websites for my clients where they wanted to hire me to do SEO, and they'd have to hire me first to fix their website or rehire their web developer to make changes to their website to make it search engine friendly in the first place. Like most up until 5 or 6 years ago, most web developers didn't think of SEO when they built the website, and I've talked to a few who don't care about SEO. They only care about the design process and making it look pretty, and which is all great and fine, but the SEO aspect, the search engine friendliness is crucial. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of building a website if you can't ever get it found in a search engine, right?
Right.
So that's why I started building websites, and that's why I started using WordPress, is because I felt that was the best system at the time and was the most search engine friendly, and I could usually rebuild the website for cheaper than it would be to fix it for them in the first place.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you really need to make sure people are finding your website, right? I mean, if you're a serious business owner, right, not just side work, right? You really want to get new clients. That's something you have to be focusing on.
Well, and really, that's why when I recommend to people is that you can build your own website, you can do your own SEO, but what's your strength? If you're you're an electrician, okay, your strength is fixing people's electrical problems or wiring a new building or installing an air conditioner. It's not building a website. So why waste a whole bunch of time trying to figure out how to do it and then get a half-assed job done when you could hire somebody who could do it in less time and save you lots of headache and frustration, and you can get a really nice looking website out of it.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a whole other story. I can spend hours ranting on those kinds of people. But I mean, even then, it's good to be able to learn new things and to be able to take things on yourself. I mean, I see a lot in websites, business owners, they're trying to do their SEO. They don't want to hire anybody, but there are these small steps they can take to at least do a little bit themselves, like Like I see so many websites that have a blog, and their last post was a month or two ago.
Oh, definitely. Like there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. Even if you don't know how to pick the right keywords to use for your website, which we'll talk about later, or how to optimize your website or any of that stuff. I mean, just like you say, just do the basic things. If you want to do it yourself, fine. Set up your website and do some regular blogging. If you don't know what to blog about, well, what do you do? Like, if you're a house painter, well, take pictures of while you work, show before and after pictures, do up a little blog post about it. So where you worked, how long it took, some new techniques you used, maybe, something like that. And do it regular. Do it even if it's once a month. I mean, it doesn't have to be like you have to blog every single day, but set up a fairly consistent, regular schedule and blog about it. And if that's why I like to tell my clients too, is let's say there's a week or a month or whatever you can't figure out a blog post to write, well, write about what's going on in your city. Just something to put up there. Mm-hmm. An event or a charity you're interested in and why you're interested in it. Just something like that to kind of give your potential clients an idea of who you are, rather than just, I'm a painter. It's like, well, why would I hire you over another painter? Well, because in my blog I show you lots of things about who I am and the charities I'm involved in and the work I do and that sort of thing. That's where a blog comes in really handy.
Right, yeah, and there's even a lot of people too who, like me, I'll go and I'll read an article I like and I'll just rewrite it in my own words. And even then, there's a lot of like content curation sites, people's Facebook pages and stuff like that. They don't write any of their own stuff lots of the time. They just pull together stuff from different websites and share it off of their website and all sorts of little things like that, right? But I mean, just constantly keep on developing your business, and yeah, consistency is key.
Oh, exactly. Like you see that a lot, especially like you go on sites like Pinterest, and people get cooking or baking ideas off of there, or slow cooker recipes off of there, or decorating ideas off of there. I mean, you can go to a site like that, like Christian said, you find ideas, and then you can turn around and incorporate them into your business, and then write a blog post, referencing these ideas you came up with, and maybe how you made them better, or how you use them in your own projects, or anything like that.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's so much stuff you can be doing nowadays. There's no excuse to be falling behind in Google or have no clients or anything at all. You constantly have to be up in your game, like what we're doing now with our podcast, right? There's so many different businesses, so many different people that have the ability to do their own podcasts. It's just they don't pick it up and do it.
Well, exactly. Like there is a lot of things you can do. There's other, YouTube's a good example. Most laptops nowadays have webcams built into them. You can use your camera and record a little video to put on YouTube. Even your phone, you can record a video right on your phone and use that, post it on YouTube. Say, again, back to the painting example, you can turn your phone into a video camera, record what you're doing instead of just taking pictures, upload that video to YouTube, put a little description, some keywords in the video, and then post the video on your blog. So right away you've got double exposure, because you got the video on YouTube, you got the video on your blog, posted it to Facebook too, why not? There's 3 locations now where your video is visible, and it talks about your business and what you do as a painter that you weren't before. And it's something simple. It takes you, 5 minutes using your phone to record a video. It's not that hard to do.
And the crazy thing about that too is, like, I mean, we've been getting a little bit off topic with the website stuff, but with all of that social media stuff, that's all social media optimization, really, social media management, but then that impacts your SEO, your rankings in search engine, right? And then of course all of this stuff is stuff you need to be doing on your website, right? Just for website development. There's no excuse there. So it's crazy how everything, all these different tools, everything helps each other.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the thing is, they can be used individually, with or without your website, or together with your website. It all impacts your SEO positively in the end. I mean, posting on your Twitter will link back to your website. Sharing something on your Facebook business page links back to your website. A YouTube video links back to your website. All those links are important as far as SEO is concerned. So, and they're free too. I mean, it's not like you got to pay somebody to get them for you. So why not do them?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we did get a little bit off topic with the website development stuff, but I feel like we've covered really the gist of it. I mean, it's intimidating when you first start thinking about it, but I mean, like there's so many guides online, like we said, covering these websites like GoDaddy, DreamHost, where to host your website, get it going after that. There's so many people who are willing to help you. Like just tweet out me or Rob. We'd be willing to help you for anything. And I actually I was thinking about this earlier today. I'd like to get back to developing some kind of guide for people, like a real video guide and some kind of ebook series or something, infographics, just help people out to build their website.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's lots out there already like that, but it's definitely something that I think in the future we will definitely be working on. But yeah, if you have any questions about any website development stuff, especially if it involves WordPress and you have questions about how to do something, then send either of us a tweet, and we don't have a problem helping you out there.
Right. What's your Twitter handle?
Well, you can use my personal one at rsullivan25. I've got one for my company too, but I don't remember what it is right now. So that's probably the best one to get in touch with me with.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, my Twitter handle is at ChristianRJS, and I'm on Instagram as well there. You're on Instagram too.
Yep,
yeah.
Same handle.
Awesome. So I hope we gave you guys enough information there to at least get your website going. On Friday, we're going to put up our next podcast. We're going to dive a little bit more into SEO stuff, more things to start doing. And then after that, I think next Monday we're gonna do some social media stuff. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna spend these first few podcasts really kind of putting together, I guess, an audio guide for business owners to get going in their internet marketing. Dad, do you have anything you want to say to end us off?
No, I think listening to this, and if you decide that you want to get online now, or you already have a website, you don't know what to do with it, and maybe you're thinking it's time to refresh it, this is a good first start. Is to listen to people like us, and there's other ones out there too that you can get lots of information from for free. That's the nice thing with the internet. There's so much free information out there. If you want to devote time just listening to video or listening to podcasts and watching videos and reading how-to articles, you can actually build a really nice website 100% by yourself if you just want to invest the time in it.
Right, exactly. And I guess, well, that's another thing too. Lots of people, they spend a lot of time reading these videos, or watching these videos, reading these articles, all sorts of things like that, but they never really dive in and just do it. So that's the other really big thing too, right? Don't spend months trying to learn how to do it. Eventually, you just have to do it. Your first website's gonna suck. All of our first websites suck, but you just gotta do it. And once again too, if it sucks and you don't want to go on and learn how to do it yourself, hire someone who knows how to do it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening to our second episode of the Search Report podcast. Have a great day.